Jingles on Six Music from the new album Holy Fire's coming out 11th of February. Before that, a nice bit of Beck. Morning! Thanks to the Hawk.
The Hawk?
Yeah.
The Hawkman, Chris the
Hawkstar.
Hawk. Yeah.
Hawkeye.
Good job. How you doing, Edith?
Really good, actually. You?
Yeah, very well. I'm Adam Buxton. How you doing, listeners? Nice to be with you. Saturday was cold, man. It's so cold.
Frosty.
So it's nice to be in a warm studio here. And
You've still got your coat on, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So you are that cold.
I do, yes. I like wearing a coat, though. If it was up to me, I'd wear a big duffel coat all the time. You know what I mean? What was that? There's a little... Was that you?
It's breakfast.
Is that your tummy?
Yeah.
That was very loud. We could play that back later on. That was amazing. It was like a door creaking. Are we gonna? Is there gonna be more? Have you not had breakfast, or is that your breakfast?
I even made breakfast and brought it in with me as well.
Well, eat it then.
Already.
Oh, you've eaten it. That was the breakfast.
It's the enormous barrel that I am holding in my stomach. It's just not full yet.
That was your little child processing it.
Maybe he wasn't talking.
He was trying to say, "Oh, it's coming up in the show." That's disturbing, isn't it?
Yeah, really quite wrong.
Well, let's tell your unborn child what's coming up in the show then. I mean, teasing is not something I would normally do, but we've got stuff, right? So
I'm nervous.
I was thinking that we could flag some stuff. You're nervous. Why are you nervous?
Because I made my first jingle for you.
First jingle.
I know it's not just for you. But you're pretty much the dawn of jingle.
Well, I'm in
making.
front of you, and I'm the jingle king, as we established.
Yeah.
I'm like Santa, and I'm in charge of jingles, and I will...
I've infiltrated the jingle world.
Yeah, and it's week 3 for us here on Six Music, and I feel as if we are on sufficiently solid footing now that I can be completely candid with you and honest with you.
Yeah.
And you're not going... I mean, we've established last week that you're a crier, though,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So are you going to get all cryy?
Well, it depends, because there was a bit of anger in me this week as well,
right,
which came out. I just think emotions are running high.
Whoa.
So maybe just take that into consideration slightly.
Okay.
But I want your honesty.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way I'm going to improve.
Okay, so I'm going to be tiptoeing around Edith's feelings later on when she... when she unveils the new jingle she's done.
No, be honest.
And what is the jingle for?
It's for Life of Brian, our picking a track for Brian Eno.
Right, so it's a jingle for picking a track for Brian Eno, and you will have picked the track as well, right?
I have picked a track this week as well,
great.
so
when
when
will we do that? Maybe later this hour.
Yeah, let's do it later this hour.
Okay. Just before 11.
Then that gives me 2 hours to recover.
All right.
Before the
Sounds
end
good.
of the show, yeah.
We've got Memory Bank. Of course, we're going to be telling you what the subject of Memory Bank is, and we've got a lot of good clips to play you for that as well.
Amazing response from people this week.
We've talked to, good stories about our subject, and it sort of follows on quite nicely from last week's Losing It stories as well, but you'll find out what we're talking about at the beginning of the next hour.
We'll find out if you are in fact the master of mind things.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you about that very shortly, maybe after the next track. And what else? Oh, yeah.
Bears.
Bears. Right, where have the bears been? Everyone wants to know about that. What? Yeah, but shut up! What about the bears? Also, I should say that I did a lot of shouting last week because we were talking about losing it, right? So it was germane to the show. So I was shouting unusually a lot, and I noticed there was a few tweets from people saying, "Shush, stop shouting. Can you please stop shouting?" Well, to begin with, no. Technically, I can't stop shouting, so I can't guarantee there won't be any shouting, but I'll try and reduce the shouting levels this week, if at all possible. So where did the bears go?
They've been all over the place. They went to Italy. They went to Bergamo in the Italian Alps.
If you haven't listened before, listeners, welcome. These are...
They're not real bears.
No, these are 2 sort of knitted effigies of myself and Edith.
Yeah, mine's is actually Adam's dad.
Yeah.
That's been made to look like me with a previous person's wig and a Jimmy hat attached to it.
Yeah.
Not sexist or in fact racist at all, but it's fine. And Adam's little sailor boy.
Yes, and my old Adam and Joe show ad T-shirt to identify them as us. And we've been letting people take care of them each week. If you want to take care of our bears and show them a good time and photograph them in exciting and exotic locations, just get in touch with the show. The email address is adamandedith@bbc.co.uk and outline some kind of plan, and the most exciting plan wins, and we'll sort of send them off. I mean, it's not a competition, really.
Just have fun with our bears. Sandy Tweedy, a flight dispatch gentleman from Birmingham Airport, had them this week. He lost them in Birmingham Airport, so we'd like a little bit more concentration and, take this seriously, please.
And there's photographs on the Six Music Facebook page of them on the way to Italy in a plane that looks as if maybe it was made in the 50s. They're on very uncomfortable looking seats, and they're up in the cockpit on top of a steering wheel that looks as if it's just a big sort of blown up version of a little Lego steering wheel.
Yeah, we're not quite sure if it was wheel or not.
What's the word for a steering wheel in a plane? Joystick.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that not a helicopter?
I don't know. Well, if you're a plane man, can you please tell us, is it a joystick or a steering wheel? Thank you. Okay, so listen, let's play some music, and afterwards I'll tell you how it went on Mastermind. Is there anything else we should say about the Bears?
Just email us, let us know where you want them to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't lose them.
That's Eddie Floyd with the song about Big Bird from Sesame Street. This is Adam and Joe. No, it's not. Okay, that's bound to happen at some point. This is Adam and Edith. Joe's gone. I don't know where he is. He's gone. All right, so he's fine. He's absolutely fine. He's in Hollywood somewhere having a good time, probably with Quentin Tarantino. And I'm here with Edith. Thank you, Edith.
It's my pleasure.
For being here.
Adam.
I really appreciate it. You were never part of a double act, were you? Or maybe you and Colin?
Colin and I did a...
But people didn't get you confused. I mean, people call me Joe a lot anyway, so you've never had that.
Never had the Ant and Dec thing?
No.
Yeah, no.
Which I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind people calling me Joe.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think he gets very upset when people call him Adam. So listen, earlier in the week, I went on Celebrity Mastermind. It's notorious throughout the world as being the hardest and most intellectually rigorous challenge for a celebrity's mind that there is. And
really,
some people say, it's a little bit easier. I said, no, absolutely not. It's harder. If anything, it's much harder. I'm being ironical. In fact, it is quite a lot easier on Celebrity Mastermind. The questions, that is. And the thing is that I was fixated on the competition part, the question answering part of the process.
Of course you would be.
Right. And we were talking about this before. You tested me on some... Actually, that gave me confidence when you tested me last week.
On your general knowledge?
Yeah, I thought, okay, well... And in fact, the questions you gave me were a lot harder than the ones I actually got in the show. I can't say how I did in the actual show, because that's a surprise for when you watch it. I think maybe it's Christmas, but I'm not sure. There isn't
please let it be on a Christmas day. That would be amazing.
It would. It would be an amazing Christmas present for...
the world.
All of the world. But... So my special subject was David Bowie in the 1970s. Mm-hmm. And I swear to you, as soon as I knew I was going to go on the show a month or so ago, I started reading everything there was to read about Bowie. I know, literally, folks, you can ask me any question you want. Now you can send the questions in, right? Before you couldn't, because I didn't want to spoil it for the show. But yeah, fire off a few trivia questions and I'll do my best to answer them. I feel as if I'm pretty on top of it. In the end, I didn't need to swat up at all.
Really?
It was more or less stuff like, what's David Bowie's, real name?
Are we talking like the crossword quiz that used to be at the back of Smash Hits type questions?
I would say, yeah. I mean, what colour is a carrot as well? That would have been one of the harder questions in the general knowledge round. But that said, when you're on the chair and you're staring at Humphreys and it's dark and the audience are there and the music's going, it is terrifying. And it's very hard in those situations to keep calm. And some of the obvious questions, one of them that I can say, I would think, without spoiling things too much, was which theatre troupe or university outfit was comprised of Peter Cook and Dudley Moore Jonathan... I can't
remember his name. This is a really good sign as to how well you did. Nat.
Yeah. Jonathan Miller and the other guy, the little playwright, Alan Bennett.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what my brain is like a lot of the time. So I wasn't able to provide them with the very obvious name of their theatre company, which you can. Well, it was Beyond the Fringe was their little troupe, and I couldn't summon that on the spot, but other than that, I did okay on the questions. The thing I didn't prepare for, that I really should have done, was the chat with John Humphreys.
Well, surely it's just like, hey, how you doing? Why have you picked this subject?
You would think, wouldn't you? Also, he asked me, what's the name of your charity? Couldn't remember the name of the charity properly. I sort of plucked it eventually, but I think I got it slightly wrong. So
huge fail.
That's going to be disrespectful to the charity for a start, which was the Norwich Tanzania Association or Trust. I still can't remember which. Oh, what a great spokesman. And so I just didn't prepare for the whole being on television bit. Right?
Yeah.
I looked scruffy.
There's a live audience there as well?
Yeah. It's a small audience.
Yeah.
But still, they're, I would say, mainly people that wouldn't know who I was and not easily amused by a little scruffy man with a beard. And I did look scruffy compared to the rest of the contestants and stuff.
Did you wear a suit?
No, I haven't really got a suit.
Okay.
The only suit I have, I've grown out of a long time ago.
Spider-Man.
And so I just had a sort of weird scruffy jacket on, and my hair is quite middle of the road at the moment, and my beard was all over the place. And then, so with a conversation with Humphreys, it went on for about 6 or 7 minutes. And
Crikey.
It was just a disaster. It was like the worst gig I've ever done in my life. Bits of it keep coming back to me right through the week. I've just been going, no! Oh, no! So, like, he starts off by saying, so you make these videos. He focused on my YouTube videos, right?
Yeah.
You make these videos. They're quite surreal, aren't they? I don't know if he's ever actually seen one. And he said, why do you make these videos? What are they? It's like, I don't know. I don't know what they are. So I was struggling. I was like, but sometimes I make music videos. I love music videos, and often I make videos for some of my songs because I'm a
creative.
I sort of said, I'm actually one of the best and most talented songwriters in the UK, John. And so he goes, oh, really? And modest with it, I see.
Oh, I'm so condescending.
God. So it's like, okay, he's not going to get my hilarious gags. And then he said, well, what do you do in these videos? I was like, well, I just jump around a bit. Well, can you do some? And
he didn't make you stand up and jump around.
So I said, I should have just said no. In fact, what I should have said is, you've never seen any of them, have you, John Humphreys, you mad Tory man from Radio 4? And but what I did was I was trying to be obliging, so I jumped up and started doing this dance, which involved me kind of playing the bongos on my nether regions. There was absolute silence in the audience, and I said, "That's my castanet dance, John." He said, "Yes, I can see."
Did the tumbleweeds just come through?
It was Tumbleweed City. And then he said something about, do you think most of the stuff on the internet is fake? I said, no, it's all real, not like TV, which is a ludicrous tissue of lies. He said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, like... And I had nothing. I was totally reaching. And I just said, like David Attenborough with his so-called nature documentaries. I mean, they're just lies, aren't they? He just dubs on sounds of creaking when they've got speeded up footage of plants growing. He didn't like that. He looked genuinely angry, like he was going to come over and lamp me. I was only joking, but...
You have to keep it in. I really hope it makes the final cut.
It's a disaster, an absolute disaster.
Should we get him on the show?
Yeah, why not? I never want to see him again, actually. And also, I was listening to Radio 4 this morning. I was listening to the Today programme, and it made me feel a bit sick. Just hearing his voice. Ugh.
Let's cheer you up then with one of your tunes in.
Tame Impala. This is one of the ones I rescued from my dead hard drive.
You did it?
Well, no, actually, I didn't. But I found a backup. Hooray! From a year or so ago. And this is not the new album, but this is their album from 2010. Yeah, Inner Speaker. Alter Ego. Gosh, I really love this. I mean, all the tracks are good on that album. If you like a bit of Australian psychedelia, mate, then you can't go wrong with the Impala. This is Alter Ego. Good effort, mate. Tame Impala with Alter Ego. Yeah, that's Adam Buxton talking here now.
Morning.
How you doing, listeners? I'm here with Edith Bowman on BBC Six Music, and we're very happy to be here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Coming up in the show today, we are going to be launching our chat topic in Memory Bank just in about half an hour or so.
I've made you a mixtape.
I've made you a little mixtape as well, yeah. Yes. Let's unveil those relatively soon.
Yeah, why don't we do the next half hour?
Yeah, let's do that. And also... I've done a little song for you that I'm going to play you later on in the show.
Wow.
For our domestic attrition. It's not really a segment, but we've been talking about little domestic battles.
Good week for broccoli or bad week for broccoli?
Good broccoli. My wife was very conscientious this week. I mean, she had every right just to smash the broccoli in my face after how rude I was last week, but she was really nice about it. But it is just gone 10:30 here on Six Music, and it's time for the news.
It's the quite brilliant Yeah Yeah Yeahs and Wide Control from their debut album. Good news, folks. They've got a new album coming out next year. Oh, yes!
Still 30 seconds of this to go.
Love a bit of feedback.
Yeah, all right, that's enough. Stop it.
There you go.
Hey, how you doing, listeners? Adam Buxton and Edith Bowman here on BBC Six Music. I've just got back from the lavatory, and the hair's still there.
What?
From last week.
Maybe it's mine.
And the week, but I don't think it is, Edith. I'm pretty sure it's not. You know what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to take a picture of it, and we're going to post it on. I'm going to have to post it sufficiently high resolution because, you know, it's hard to see.
One hair strand.
But it's there. Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you again. And I say, hey, how's it going, man? Okay, just hanging out. I was worried that maybe you'd gone or someone would have cleaned you. No! Yeah, that's great. So what have you been up to? Oh, you know, twisting, just bending, moving this way and that. Excellent. Yeah, good. Well, nice to see you. Take care of yourself. Okay, you have a good show. Thanks very much. So,
Bowie trivia?
Yeah, hit me with some Bowie trivia.
Good morning, both. Enjoying the show. A Bowie question for you with whom did he study mime? Keep up with good work. Brendan, Wolverhampton. Who did he study mime? Come on.
Mime. It is a joke to me, your question. It is an absolute joke. Everybody knows it was Lindsay Kemp.
Correct.
Yes.
What event did David base the song Heroes on, Chris and Brighton?
What event?
Yeah. Oh, scratching the beard. That's not a good sign.
Well, it was supposedly, but stories differ, but it might have been his producer, Tony Visconti, having an illicit snog with someone who was not his wife down by the Berlin Wall outside Hansaton Studios. Bowie files, with superior knowledge to mine, can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was it. They were supposedly, possibly the inspiration for the Lovers by the Berlin Wall there.
Okay. Here we go. Keep them coming in. Good work.
Them coming in. I laugh at those questions. Hey, hello. So I would say next link, Edith,
yeah.
It might be time for you to unveil your Eno jingle.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. How do you feel about
that? Excited, I think.
Okay.
I don't feel emotional today. I feel quite up and sprightly.
Not too weepy?
Not too weepy this morning.
How's your stomach going to deal with it?
So go on with it. Well, I'll let the unborn child speak for itself when that time comes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Good jingle, Mom.
Let's do that then. I'll unleash the Life of Brian jingle.
All right. And
after that. And mixtapes as well. Should we try and do that before 11?
Yeah, let's do that. You've made me a mixtape, and we've kind of done them in trail form. Is that right? Like in a kind of almost like a TV ad?
Yeah, like a TV ad, like the kind of best of type things. You'd get those old school Telstar ads where they'd play you every track that was on it for like 3 seconds.
All right, well that's coming up before 11, and Edith's unveiling her jingle after this next track.
Grizzly Bear, simple answer. Do you like that? Grizzly Bear, simple answer. Second single from their fourth album, Shields, which came out in September.
That is sexcellent, isn't it?
It is excellent indeed, yeah.
Very different as well from their other stuff. I mean, you can hardly speak though, Edith, because you are so nervous right now. Am I right?
A little bit sick.
Yeah.
Just there.
Don't
swallowed it back.
I don't want to know about that. Listen, it's absolutely fine for me to post pictures of stray hairs in toilets, but I don't want to know.
Which I couldn't find when I just went to the toilet. Like, you must pay so much attention when you're standing there to find one stray hair that's pretty much underneath the toilet.
I'm just in Photoshop now, putting a red circle around the hair so it's obvious where it is.
Oh, perfect time for me to play this jingle then when you're not paying attention. Great, okay.
No, I'm going to pay attention right now. So explain to us exactly what this jingle is, how you created it.
Well, So we have a little feature on the show. It's just a kind of sort of excuse for us to play a tune where we, Brian Eno listens to the show apparently. We've played a couple of tunes kind of for him over the last couple of weeks. It doesn't have any jingle around it, so we thought it needed a little bit more of a kind of, I'm here, this is for Brian. So I've made a Life of Brian jingle, which involved me trying to find a doo-wop backing track, which I could not find all week.
Right, because I said that he likes, I happen to know that he enjoys doo-wop. I don't know if he still does, but he certainly did.
So I couldn't find doo-wop. So I've gone with kind of like old school kind of wartime newsy jingle type thing.
Okay.
And which I did the vocals for.
You sure this isn't the old jingle that we used to do on the Adam and Joe show? It might well be. There's only a few...
I have to thank my other half last night who allowed me into a Starship Enterprise to record the vocals.
Right.
And this is the result. Are you ready for it?
Here we go, hit me.
It's time for a song with Life of Brian. We hope he's listening, likes the tune we pick. And let's make it clear we've got the right Brian. It's not Mr. Adams, Ferry or May. So what would he like? What would he like? What would he like? What would he like? What would Mr. Eno? He's a bit of a muser. Like whilst he's eating, probably crumbs.
Now listen, Edith. That is the jingle that we used to use to introduce the Adam and Joe show. It's not our jingle. That's just a jingle you get on GarageBand. But I sung over that, Mother, many, many times. It is recognised as being one of the greatest bits of singing over a jingle ever. If there were awards for that kind of thing, I would have them all. And what you've done is you've gone in and you have desecrated that holy jingle garden with admittedly lovely singing, and you just sang the heck out of it. It was great.
Did you like? Yeah.
If I hadn't previously created one of the greatest jingles of all time, with that backing track, you would now be hailed as a kind of a genius. And
really?
You would be carried out here on a gold cushion, a nice soft one though, not an actual hard metal gold cushion. And you would be fed by sexy slaves just for the rest of your life. That's not what's happened.
Okay.
Instead, you've created something which has trampled on the memories of literally...
Everyone's going to be tweeting in about that now, aren't they?
Literally millions and millions of people across the world. I never, ever want to hear that jingle again.
What about if I do it to a different backing track?
Ever. Yeah, if you do it to a different backing track, that's absolutely acceptable, but it's got to be in no way related to that one. Like if it's got any sense that it's sort of the old newsy...
42-second version of it.
Any memories of that need to be expunged from now on.
Removing the actual fact that it's a slight plagiarism on your previous jingles, what are you going to give it?
It's impossible. It's impossible to even think about that.
Okay, I'll play it. Brian, this is your song. This is The Egg.
Never speak of it again.
The young Jake Bugg in Troubletown. I've had a text in from John in London who says, Adam, you're well out of order on the Eno jingle. All we just done is show up your cheapskate garage band ways. Grow up! Peace. Losing it was last week's memory bank subject, John. But thanks for the support.
That's absolutely true, John. It's absolutely true. But I never, ever want to hear that jingle again. I'm joking. The other thing is that Edith knew, obviously, that it was it's not like she didn't know that we used to use the jingle. Just to make that clear.
I listened.
She used to listen to the show.
Bowie, couple of Bowies quickly.
Yeah.
Adam, what was the name of Bowie's childhood friend who injured Bowie's eye in a playground fight? Howard and Hove.
George Underwood.
Unbelievable knowledge.
Still good friends with Bowie. Was one of the was a guest at Bowie's wedding. And,
which one?
He's second to Iman.
Okay.
And he designed the cover of Ziggy Stardust as well. He's very talented.
Okay, now
artist.
you're just showing off. There was only one question in that text, but never mind.
Keep them coming in. Come on. I think sorry, Edith, to interrupt your saying of Six Music there. The picture of the hair in the lavvy, I think, is now up. isn't it?
On Twitter or Facebook? Twitter.
There's a big red circle around it to make it clear. I don't know if it's difficult to see because the picture may have been compressed, but I think you can still see the little guy there.
Are you hoping this is going to identify the culprit from?
No, I don't care. I just want to make sure that the hair is protected from now on. I don't want anyone to go in there and start messing with it or like thinking about removing it because it's been there for many weeks now.
People could add to it.
Yeah, it could have a little hairy friend. I don't see why not. That would be nice. I'll be interested to see how it gets on.
Right, Six Music celebrating the cassette. It's 50 years since its invention by Philips, and celebrating the cassette began actually last night at midnight. Loads of stuff going on across the channel. Name Cherry tomorrow will rewind the story of the cassette, looking at this pivotal role in music.
What? I didn't understand any of what you just said.
Cassette tapes.
What's Nana Cherry doing?
She's going to rewind the story of the cassette. Looking at its pivotal role
like a cassette
in music.
Yes. What is she just going to do that in her house?
Probably, yeah.
Just to herself.
Just play some cassettes from her house, rewind them, fast forward them, chat to a few people about it.
50 years, well, gosh, I mean, it seems like a lot longer, doesn't it? It seems as if they've been part of our lives for absolutely ages.
Have you still got something you can play a cassette tape on at home?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've still got lots of. I love cassettes. Yes, I still keep them all. I don't throw them away. My favourite compilations I certainly keep because a good compilation, that's for life, bruv. Now in the digital age, it's much easier. But in the olden days, it used to be hard. And I used to sit there with a tape-to-tape machine and take absolutely ages to get everything just so, and do a bit of ad hoc mixing. To
do the chart, try and get pause when this talking started.
Exactly right. Yeah. So we've made compilations for each other, not on a cassette, I'm sorry to say, but
do you want to go first?
Okay, sure. Yeah. And we've done kind of promos for the cassettes, TV ad style. So here's what I've made for Edith.
Terrible day at work? No sympathy from your partner or so-called friends? World seems meaningless? Then sit back, pour yourself a large glass of Chateau Le Shut Your Mouth and enjoy the sound of Shouting Classics Volume 1. Nirvana with Territorial Peasings begins the compilation as it means to go on, with barely intelligible fury from the Pixies and Planet of Sound. But that sounds thoughtful compared to Husker Du with Bricklayer. Californian punk funsters Black Flag with Wasted. Shouting Classics also contains the non-hits Psychosis Safari from 80s Matchbox Beeline Disaster. And What the Hell Are Guitar Wolves singing in Summertime Blues. And what, for that matter, is Death Grips shouting about in I've Seen Footage. There's also shouting from the Beatles. And David Bowie. Not forgetting the Foo Fighters. No, this isn't a good time to talk about that thing you wanted to talk about. Because it's Shouting Classics time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I shout a lot. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I shout a lot. I love to shout. I love people shouting. It makes me feel happy.
Trying to encourage me to shout more. I like Bricklayer's my favourite out of that lot.
Yeah,
for sure.
You like Husker Du?
Yeah, like it a lot.
That's a good one, isn't it?
It's good to shout.
Sure,
it's good
it
to
is.
let it out. Shout.
It's
like
cathartic.
Tears for Fears. Yeah.
It's cathartic.
Great. It's good for the soul.
And how about the 80s Matchbox Beeline Disaster?
Best band name in the world, I think.
That's a good bit of shouting from them as well.
Yeah.
Death Grips, I don't know if that counts as shouting, sort of rappy shouting.
Yeah, it's a bit subdued shouting.
And Helter Skelter obviously was the Beatles one, and It's No Game. I mean, there's a lot of shouting in Helter Skelter, isn't there? Yeah. It's No Game. Bowie does some very good shouting in that on the beginning of.
It's quite scary.
Scary Monsters, or near the beginning.
Mine's is totally different.
Yeah.
Mine's is about you.
Oh.
Basically.
Oh, you've put some thought into it. I didn't think of that.
They all kind of all the tunes on this. It's well, here it is.
Right.
Now, That's what I call Adam, Volume 1.
Moby, Michael Stipe. You light the skies up above me.
Like it?
No.
I just so Tame Impala or Pala,
Impala.
because you like them.
Yeah.
Queen Bicycle Ride.
Yeah,
'cause
but I've
you
already
ride a
got
bike.
it. I mean, listen, I'm coming
I know
off.
you've probably
I'm
got
coming
all
off
these
rude
tracks.
and ungrateful this show. I totally appreciate that, right? But I thought I told you I was going to be honest. I don't see the point in pussyfooting. I've said before it's disgusting.
What's wrong with doing a
unhygienic.
mixtape of your favourite tracks?
Because I've got them already.
Take That, Rule the World.
No, I see. I don't
There you
have
go,
that.
see?
I never ever want
You
to
were
hear
in
it
Stardust.
ever again.
But you were in the film that it was the song
I
from.
hate it. Absolutely hate it.
I Like Cheese to try and switch you
What's
over.
I Like Cheese? That's the one I did like. That I didn't know.
It's just off the internet. I Like Cheese.
Where'd you find that?
On YouTube.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth
Cheese.
it for the
And
one track.
Cliff Richard Mistletoe Wine.
No.
Come on, it's the first day of Advent.
No.
Come
no,
on.
No. I wish I had that clip of Ben Kingsley just shouting no over and over again from Sexy Beast. I'm going to bring it in next week just in case anything like this ever happens again.
I'm never going to make you a mixtape ever
I'm
again.
sorry,
No, it's
Edith.
fine.
Listen. I'm just joking. I love it. I absolutely love all the tracks that I've already got. And, and the Take That. Take That. No, they're brilliant. Hey, I'm joking. Obviously, I don't hate Take That. Who hates Take That? Only a moron would hate Take That.
Bobby Womack, Stupid and Six Musics, just after 11 o'clock. A&E with you till 1.
How you doing, listeners? Adam Buxton here with Edith Bowman. Edith, listen, I'm sorry. I feel bad. I was just a barrage of scorn and negativity, wasn't it?
It's fine. It's fine.
Listen,
It gives me a kind of snapshot.
I actually made you a proper compilation.
Really?
And this
It's
is
an
for your
actual CD.
unborn child. There you go. And it's a
Amazing.
it's a lullaby selection, and it's got a picture of me in the sort of
Looking-
young Americans pose. That picture was from quite a long time ago,
With a cigarette.
before I had a beard.
And stop smoking.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Bowie's cigarette. It's not mine. It's from Young Americans. So there's some nice music there to
Thanks.
lull your children to sleep.
Travis Humpty Dumpty love song.
Yeah, it's a rare mix of that one.
Love it.
Stripped of the
Randy
orchestration.
Newman, Memo to My Son.
Lovely
Love
song.
it.
Some good Jason Faulkner versions of Beatles songs as well.
Blackbird's one of my favourite ever
Yeah,
songs.
he does good instrumental versions. So anyway, I hope you enjoy that one. Thanks. And I want to say as well that I really do appreciate you. Calm down.
Yeah, it's fine.
I really do appreciate you bringing in the Eno jingle. There's quite a few messages from people saying that I was quite horrible there, so I apologise.
Hey, it's all right.
But I never want to hear it again. So listen, I think it's time that we got into the memory bank, don't you?
Yeah.
Time for some stories you deposited in the memory bank. The memory bank, the memory bank. We're the nice bank. Would you like to bank with us? All of them are truthful. Every now and then they're a little bit frank. The memory bank, the memory bank. Ooh, I'm sorry about your very overdrawn. Email us your stories or text or tweet or send them round with Hank. Send them with Hank. Send them with Hank to the memory bank.
And this week on the Memory Bank, we are talking about rudeness, intolerable rudeness. And throughout the week, we've asked you to send in your stories, and you can continue to do so on the following email address, adamandedith@bbc.co.uk, or you can tweet short stories to...
At BBC Six Music.
or text to 64046.
I'm amazed by the length of stories that we get in as well during the week. There's kind of sort of, pretty in-depth stuff that comes in during the week.
And this subject as well, rudeness, follows on, I suppose, quite neatly from last week's losing it topic.
Yeah.
So this is more, it's less about the sort of shouty confrontations, more, I suppose, internalized feelings of upset that you get when someone thinks you're being rude or when someone is rude to you.
Someone's behaviour you deem rude.
And a lot of there was a pattern as well in a lot of the stories that came in that people would have these little confrontations where they thought someone was being rude or whatever, and they would be upset by the fact that they could never think of the right thing to say.
Yes.
In those situations, and you come away from a sort of rudeness confrontation feeling impotent because you haven't nailed a good comeback. Like, here's an example. I met up with Tony Law, lovely comedian, in Trafalgar Square yesterday. I don't know why I thought Trafalgar Square would be a good place to meet. My hands froze completely by the end of our little chat. I thought it'd be nice
dodgy deal
to get outside
by the fountain.
But I was asking him if he'd had any confrontations recently or any bits of rudeness, and he told me this short story.
Well, I had one lately. This drove me nuts. And like the queue's all spread out, and you can't exactly tell where the queue is, so you sort of go to where they're bunched up the most, and I did that. And it's like an English Stepford wife, so a really rich lady, just went, "Excuse me, that is rude. You are a rude man." I went, "Oh gosh, sorry, did I butt in front of you?" She went, "Yeah, you did, and I think you know you did." I went, No, I really didn't. I didn't know I did. "No, you go ahead." "Oh yeah, okay, now I can go ahead. Yeah, right. Because you've been found out." And I'm going, "Wow, I can't believe you're escalating this. This has really upset you." "Yeah, it has upset me because people like you are just rude. You're a rude man." And I was just stunned. It's like, "Are you doing this? Are you doing this in front of your son?" "Oh, bring my son into it." Yeah, but he's like, he doesn't want this to be happening. Why don't you go ahead and I'll wait. I'll even let some more people in front of me, so there's a distance between us. "Oh yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you?" Why? I don't know why I would like that." Then I said, "You don't know who you've messed with, lady. You are the rude one. I will cast you down." I don't know what I meant by that. I didn't say any of that, actually, but that's what I was feeling. All the way to the show I was doing that night, I was fuming. I should have been doing work or reading or something or getting smarter. And I was just looking out the window, just, who does this woman think she is?
So she had him cast as the rude one, and he's one of the most charming and polite men ever, Tony Law. But it's just sometimes in those situations where it's tense. He was at a supermarket there, and people are queuing up and get a bit snappy with each other, and it's easy to make judgments about what you perceive as rudeness that are actually totally wrong.
Michael Palin on rudeness. I mean, a man who's got a lot to say about a lot of things in the world.
Again, a very charming, famed for his charm.
Yeah, we'll hear his thoughts on rudeness.
Rudeness in the sense of people being unpleasant to you. It happens very rarely. You're more likely to find that in the centre of a city on a Saturday night. So I don't really remember people being rude to me particularly, but sometimes you think they're being rude. There are strange gestures used, certainly with the Wowsha people in the Xingu. There's all strange, weird things, and you think, that they're having a go at you, but actually that means, they're showing you their sort of tribal attack mode. It's not personal or anything like that.
I also can't ever imagine Michael Palin being rude to anyone.
Yeah.
Do you think he's ever rude to anyone?
I'm sure he was probably rude to one of the Wajir in the Xingu. He just made that up, surely. Sounds like a made-up tribe.
But was he?
I mean, you do lose your rag every now and then. Usually to the person you least want to lose it with. That's the trouble, I end up being rude just to somebody, and it's been a very long day or a long week or something like that. And, this quite innocent person who doesn't hold the door open for you when you're going in the chemist, something like that, and you say, "Thank you very much," you're going to something like that, quite all out of proportion. I think modern life, it encourages you to be brisk and, rather clipped. And as soon as you don't have time for people, then I think that's when rudeness comes in. Because if you have time for people, that's why I love travelling. You end up just chatting away, And I think rudeness comes when you don't make contact, or you don't want to make contact, or you're trying to stand back, or you don't like the look of somebody, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it happens, especially where he says he likes travelling, but you get a lot of rudeness when you are travelling. Trains and trains get overcrowded and things like that.
Yeah.
People get very bristly.
Definitely.
I was at the station the other day, and all the trains back to Norwich were cancelled for whatever reason. And I went to ask the beleaguered lady at the help desk what the deal was, when the next train was. There's loads of people queuing up and getting irate with her, and she was super cool. Like, her way of dealing with the whole thing was being just this blank slate, not showing any emotion whatsoever, which actually was winding people up even more, because you want a bit more of a human connection, but difficult for her. So I said, excuse me, what time is the next train going to go back to Norwich in that case, if these have been cancelled? And she didn't say anything to me. She didn't look me in the eye or anything. She just looked the other way. She looked right past me. And it just drove me insane. And I was talking right to her. I mean, I was right in front of her. And I said, excuse me, I'm talking to you. Would you do me the courtesy of looking at me, please? And very slowly she looked round and she said, next train's going in 15 minutes. She'd been looking at the board to do me a favour and find out when the train was, because I was too lazy to look at the board.
You walk away with your knuckles dragging along.
Yeah, and so at that point, I mean, she could have, I suppose, acknowledged the fact that I was talking to her. That's what sort of confused me. But still, I was 100% Wally-ish. And at that point, I did feel like saying, like, I should really acknowledge it, and say... Thank you! I said thank you. Obviously, I said, well, thank you very much. But I should have really said, oh, sorry, I was being a jerk and I didn't realise you were looking at the board. But I didn't say it. That was too much. I just had to skulk away and hide under a box for a little while. So we're going to read out some more of your stories on the subject of rudeness in the next hour and 40 minutes here on the A&E show on BBC Six Music. But right now, more music. This is the Flaming Lips. Extraordinary nice. And who on earth was that?
Friends.
Friends with the Joey and Chandler
and Monica.
Yes,
yeah,
that's what they sound like when
always
they sing.
Love a hand clap in there, though, don't they? Always got to have a hand clap.
Very good, excellent. Vafan Gordu.
Vafan Gordu.
Is that the name of the band?
No, that's the name of the song.
So they are called Friends.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, it's Adam and Edith here on BBC Six Music.
They're from Cool Brooklyn.
Cool Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, they really are like that, and they hang out in a coffee shop, presumably. Good one. And we're talking about rudeness. That is the subject of today's Memory Bank. Let's have a mini jingle.
Time for some stories you deposited in the memory bank. The memory bank. The memory bank. Ooh, I'm sorry about your very overdrawn.
And I was talking to Tony again about things that he found rude. And I think there's a lot of shows that I enjoy that he doesn't enjoy so much. Here's a couple of examples. X Factor was one of them.
X Factor, things like that. That's just a rude show, isn't it? It's just people being rude and picking on people. It's just bullying. I can't watch it. For a start, I hate the singing. The what do you call it? The karaoke singing. But to then watch people bully the one who's bad at singing. They're just bad at singing, you morons. You're all bad at life. You're bad people sitting in that room booing. So they're all there for bullying, aren't they? Crazy bully time. It's better than a circus, I suppose.
And not strictly about rudeness. I enjoy I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out.
You love it,
right? I think it concludes this weekend, doesn't it?
No idea.
And I always say, I feel with that show that it's not exclusively about bullying. There's usually a bullying element in the way that the public selects one particular person to do the trials the whole time.
Starvation.
Yeah. But I like the way the campmates tend to sort of overcome their differences and find common causes sometimes. Not always, but they have done this time, I feel. Anyway, I asked Tony about I'm a Celebrity, and this is what he thought.
No, I don't watch that. Can't watch that. Not unless they change the jungle that they're in instead of the Australian jungle. I would watch it if it was somewhere in the Congo where there's a massive civil war going on, and that changes it up. That would get some viewers, wouldn't it? I'd like you to meet child soldier Joseph Natongo. And your next game is to run the gauntlet of these child soldiers before they massacre everyone in the village and probably just lop off hands for no reason. There's like all the celebrities coming out of the jungle with one less hand. They deserve the prize money, wouldn't they? Oh, well, I'm left-handed, so they took the right one, and it's really given my career a boost. I'm going to play Hook in a pantomime, so that's going to be a good wedge. Yeah, I haven't watched the Celebrity. Get me out here.
He needs to read Hunger Games. He'll love it. Absolutely love it, he will.
Have you got any messages there from people about rudeness?
Yeah, I've got one last clip actually from Michael Palin. It's something that I never ever thought he would find rude, but it's quite interesting.
I mean, there are other things that you see that are slightly rude. We would gather slightly rude. Like, I mean, I find penis sheaths a bit rude. And I remember a little chap who had his sort of penis sort of strapped up around his waist. I found that quite odd. And we would probably say that's a bit rude, but he was absolutely and totally and completely unself-conscious. I thought he thought I was a bit odd to have mine dangling down,
Very odd. I'm wearing mine. Never leave home without it.
Joe Andrews in Surrey was just listening to our podcast whilst on the train home from work, and this happened. I was sitting with my feet up on the seat when a middle-aged lady came and sat next to my feet, shaking her head. I knew that I was in the wrong, but like you, it really rubs me up the wrong way.
The head shake.
The head shake.
Yeah, don't like it.
So I opened up my rucksack, pulled out a newspaper, placed on the seat opposite me, and then put my feet on top of the paper. I then smugly looked at the lady and in a patronising voice said, "Better?" She said nothing back and refused to look at myself for the rest of the journey. Get in.
What's his name?
Joe Andrews in Surrey.
Joe. Quite naughty, though, to put the feet up in the first place.
You train it a lot. How would you react to that?
Well, I wouldn't say anything because I'm too wimpy. But I would be doing the internal head shake for feet on seats, because sometimes when it's an empty carriage and I do feel like it would be nice to stretch out, I make a big play of laying out my coat or whatever across the seat. So look, it's okay. I'm going to put my feet up, but it's on my own coat, so it's fine. It's not like putting my dirty feet on the seat where someone else has to sit, because I do. My dad used to hate that, and he always used to go on about it. So I'd be doing the internal head shake. We're going to be reading out more stories of rudeness over the next hour and a half, as well as some other bits and pieces talking about domestic strife and domestic attrition. We've also got made-up jokes. We've got the return of made-up jokes, because a few of them came in, and I thought of one of mine as well. I created a new made-up joke this week, which I was very pleased with, which ties in with one of the people that we've heard from on the show today. So that's all coming up before the end of I started talking and I'm just carrying on talking without anything to say.
It's fine, stop now, because we're going to go and get some news.
Okay.
It's Toy on 6 Music. If you're a fan of Toy Police again, 6 Music website, Tom Ravenscross had a 20-minute guest mix from them last night. Guess a bit like our mixtapes, but
What do they? So they just pick tracks that they like, do they? And
yeah. It's nice, isn't it?
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, does sound a little bit like the start of Casualty.
They're friends of the Horrors, is that right? Or they were championed by the Horrors at a certain point?
Possibly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just making it up. Adam Buxton and Edith Bowman here on BBC 6 Music, and we are returning once more to the memory bank.
Time for some stories you deposited in the memory bank. The memory bank. The memory bank. We're the nice bank. Would you like to bank with us?
We're talking about rudeness today at the Memory Bank. And thank you so much for sending in your stories. Do you have one there, Edith?
I do. There's also some really nice names coming in. My favourite today is Hi, Dr. Buckles and Vitamin E.
Very nice.
Like that one. That's pretty good. Hi, Edam. We said that was a no, Katie, but that's all right. Thanks for listening.
That's okay. I mean, it's just a no for the name of the show.
Yeah. I'm in my final year of sixth form, and this startling act of rudeness occurred only last year in my classroom. Early on a Monday morning, our science teacher was giving a talk on alcohol awareness, which unfortunately did not include your helpful sea shanty. When a girl on the front desk brought out her entire lunchbox, started rooting around until she found a packet of crisps, which she brought out with a flourish and proceeded to open noisily and devour.
Mate.
Obviously, teacher, notably annoyed, and asked the girl to kindly put away her crisps, seeing as it was 9 a.m. and we were in a lesson. A few minutes later, same girl, large hairbrush and lip gloss, and started arranging her hair, and full-size mirror she had also produced from her bag resting on the desk. Once again, teacher, looking a little more flustered, asked the girl to put away the items and concentrate on the lesson. However, the final straw for our teacher was when the girl brought out a large can of deodorant and proceeded to spray herself all over. I think you can imagine our teacher's reaction.
She was just spraying her clothed body with deodorant.
Did she do that thing of like slipping it in the top part of her
maybe.
top and really getting into her armpits, or oxters as we call them in Scotland?
Who uses spray-on deodorant these days anyway? Don't you know that's killing the planet? There's a good video by an artist called William Wegman that was made in the 60s of him talking about the benefits of spray-on deodorant, and it's like a minute and a half of him just spraying until this big chunk of goop builds up under his armpit and starts dribbling down, with him going, "It makes me feel so fresh, and I love the smell of it. I love how it makes me feel." It's good. Seek it out. I've got a message here, from Ross Houghton in London. Houghton. Houghton. Yeah, I'm not very good on reading and pronunciations. He says, you know those instances when you walk away from a situation, then only later think of something to say? Well, we were talking about that earlier on. Once, I actually managed to pull something out of the bag on time. I was in my late 20s in a supermarket queue, and a man in his late 50s decided to leap straight to the front of the line and head straight to the checkout. I piped up and said, "Excuse me, there's a queue behind you." He turned round and said, "Well, by the time you get to my age, you might realise the world isn't always the way you want it to be." I replied, "Well, by the time I get to your age, I'd hope to have learned some manners. I would hope to have learned some manners." Nice. A few people chuckled. He huffed and joined the back of the queue. I would say that is a result, though, Ross. I'm going to sing you my celebratory In Your Face jingle for that. In your face! In your face, old man! In your face, queue man! In your face, queue jumping man! In your face!
It's my favourite comeback of all time.
To say in your face.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, if you did it with the jingle as well, he would have been well within his rights to... Maybe it would have seemed a bit wrong if he started dancing around and singing.
We should just have it on our phones. Everyone should have it on their phones, and if it ever happens, so you go, "Just give me 1 second," pull it up.
Yeah, but then it could be open to abuse. If it was badly... I mean, the way I did it there was absolutely fine.
Okay. One step too far.
Edith, can I ask you to read the beginning of this? Because in my research this week, I was, curious to find stories from all sorts of people about rudeness, and I stumbled across this website about London transport, and there was people sharing various stories on there. So could you read that one out?
Okay, just the story part, a friend of mine visited London on an MOD work trip, during which she used the tube in central London. As a civil servant, you have to keep your train tickets to proof of your expenses so you can claim the money back. So at the exit barrier, she very politely said, "Excuse me," to try and extract the inspector's attention. He very blatantly ignored her. She said, "Excuse me, excuse me." Excuse me several more times, but he still wouldn't listen. So she tapped him on the shoulder, only for him to get very angry and impolite and accuse her of abuse. She started to laugh as she thought he was joking, but it turns out he was deadly serious. Talk about ridiculous. Where I live, the north of Scotland, no one would dream of being so rude. And if you behaved like that, then you most likely attract a letter of complaint. Is it normal for tube employees to be so rude, or is it just because they sometimes get stressed out? I don't mean to generalise or accuse every tube employee of being like this. Craig Philosophy.
So thank you very much. I thought I'd get you to read it out because he's from Scotland.
Craig Philosophy.
So are you. I made that connection.
Craig Philosophy.
What does that mean?
Craig's from Lossy. Craig Philosophy.
Craig Philosophy. Exactly. But underneath that story is a reply. Someone replies. This guy called Maylin, Meilin. And I don't think he is a tube employee. I don't think he is speaking for the London Underground when he gives this reply. And I've tried to think about what his accent might be like, and I think I've almost certainly nailed it. He says, "That is actually how it's supposed to be. London Underground ticket inspectors run a constant risk of being shot, stabbed, blown up, or just plain committed over by drunks. They are supposed to remain distant from passenger, not to engage them in conversations, and not to make eye contact. Doing so could get them killed. Your friend was interfering with an inspector in the course of their duty. She most certainly should never have touched him. For all he knows, she could have been a psychopath, a junkie, or a regular head case." Maylin. There you go. So just think about it, is what he's saying. That's the main point. Let's
Great
read out some
philosophy.
more stories about rudeness in a little bit. Right now, here's some classic...
No, not yet. This is for a story I'm going to read out in a bit. Sorry.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
mate.
Don't give it away.
What have you got? Oh, yeah, this is the Mighty Heed. And after this, we've got made-up jokes, ladies and gentlemen. It's Radiohead. But go to sleep!
The Mighty Heed.
Adam Buxton and Edith Bowman here on BBC Six Music. Very nice to be here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. And here is a feature that we used to have on the Adam and Joe show that just can't be kept down. And Joe never really liked it that much either. But I always had a soft spot for it.
Were you trying to say I don't like it?
Well, you might not after I read out some of these jokes.
I'm a funny person, I often make up jokes. My jokes are more amusing than those of other folks. When you hear my joke, I think you'll find that you agree. Come on, you're all invited to a made-up joke party.
You know, people continue to tweet jokes at me every now and again because of that feature, and it's always a pleasure to read them. But I thought of one this week, and so that spurred me on to incorporate it into the made-up jokes feature.
Hit me with it.
Because you were hanging out with Michael Palin,
Yes.
I thought of the following amazing joke.
Okay.
Where does Michael Palin go to drive his race car?
I don't know. Where does Michael Palin go to drive his race car?
The palindrome. Because race car is a palindrome. So Michael Palin goes to a palindrome to drive his race car, which is a palindrome.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I think it's good. Obviously, I had to explain it a lot.
Yeah. Maybe if you hadn't explained it so much.
I know, but some of the I mean, yeah, but it's very funny, and I just didn't want people to not realise that. So I had to.
Can I be honest with you?
Go on.
I didn't know what palindrome was.
Right, it's a word that's the same forwards and backwards.
Yeah.
Race car,
Okay.
palindrome.
There you go.
You see, I did have to explain it.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
Just for me.
And here's one that someone tweeted earlier this week, and he got very angry when I didn't acknowledge the joke. After a while, he started shouting at me in the tweet in words that I can't repeat here on Saturday afternoon. Luke Jones, and he says, "What do you call a metric jazz trumpeter?"
Don't know. What do you call a metric jazz trumpeter?
Kilometers Davis. Right, which
like
is a good
that.
joke, but I did.
like
But
it.
Luke, you know, you didn't assure me of the provenance of that joke. I searched for it on Google, and there's a lot of hits for Kilometers Davis.
Really, and he's not the source of it.
I don't think so. I think I'd be in legal trouble if he claimed that he was the originator of that joke. Don't know. But another person tweeted me this week. The Cooker from Dundee, Scotland. He tweeted this. Actually, I think he was retweeting it from someone else. But anyway, it was a link to a Tumblr site called Bad Kids Jokes.
The best.
And the guy on there says, I moderate jokes on a kids joke website. A lot of the joke submissions can't be published for various reasons, so I publish them here instead. I have not edited or made up any of these jokes. Here's a selection of them.
Oh, I love this. My 4.5-year-old does this. It's brilliant.
Yeah, children making up jokes
The best.
is always very good, especially around 4.5 when they're mainly obsessed with, well, the toilet, yes. For example, what did the woman do in bed when she heard the alarm going off? Pooed her pants. What do you call a chicken that does, spelt D-U-Z, not got feathers, spelt F-E-R-T-H-E-R-S? What do you call a chicken that does not got feathers? A naked face. How many kicks does it take to break a bed? 1,000. What's pink and hangs up your pajamas? Your mother.
These are brilliant.
Here's like a little play. Mummy, what's a vampire? Shut up and eat your soup. Mummy, I don't like tomato soup. Shut up, we only have it once a month. That's my favourite play. Do you want some more?
One more.
Maybe more.
Okay.
My mum put me on a diet and said, "You are what you eat." I was confused. I said, "But I don't remember eating a sexy beast for breakfast." Do That couldn't have been a child, surely.
That's not a child.
That's too good. How does a man put an elephant in a freezer? Fit him in, not caring about size, and smash the door in.
Someone needs to chat to that child. He needs a word.
What did the goat say to the dog? Nice buttock, you loser.
Oh, amazing. I
Okay.
love this. Last one.
Last one.
Oh, dear, okay.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Rex the dumpling egg. Rex the dumpling egg!
Music.
Slowly falls through.
Beautiful. Lucy Rose on Six Music, middle of the bed.
The middle of the bed. That's a very rude place to be as well. That takes up a lot of space. I mean, fair enough if you're on your own, you're in the middle of the bed. Is that what she's singing about? Maybe that's the whole point of the song, is that she's on her own.
Rather someone would be with her.
Yeah,
she
I
wouldn't
wasn't
have
listening.
to be.
I wasn't listening, was I?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, let's just play the jingle.
Time for some stories you deposited in the memory bank. The memory bank. The memory bank. Ooh, I'm sorry about your very overdrawn.
Rudeness is the topic of today's memory bank. Thank you very much for sending in your stories. And I have a couple here. Here's a short one for you. This is from Natalie. She says, working in retail for 15 years has been eye-opening. Once, when bending down to pick up a clothing item thrown on the floor during the Boxing Day sale frenzy, an eager customer used me to kneel on so she could reach a top above me. I still work in retail. Natalie. Whoa. I mean, in what universe is that acceptable?
Rudeness extremes. I've got one from an anonymous person. Hello. I carry a stink bomb in my bag, safely stored in an old Barocca tube. I'm on a constant state of readiness to use it if someone is rude to me.
No.
I have only used it once on a rude lady in the sub post office. It worked well, and for seconds I felt better. But now I have to walk further to the main post office. Anon.
Anonymous brackets psychopath.
Why would you anonymously send that? Just put your name on it.
Because goodness knows what else Anon is up to.
Anon.
If he or she has got stink bombs in a Barocca tube,
Bang.
what else is he formulating?
Or she.
Oh, exactly, or she. So here is one now from a lady, Sarah, in London, who, again, has the same problem as a lot of people in these kind of situations. She says, a man on the Metropolitan line during the peak weekday rush home sat opposite me. I'm assuming he was a banker or investor or some sort because he wore a fancy suit and a bowler hat. Seriously, in brackets, she says. I had 3 bags plus a birthday cake for my sister in a box, and the man accused me of taking up too much space, then proceeded to kick the birthday cake that I had placed between my feet. Luckily, it only got a little bit squashed. The box took most of the assault, but he kept yelling, "Move!" at me, and at the time I was too shocked to say anything back. I remember getting home and crying, though I was also shaking with anger. I wish I knew the most satisfying way to behave if I ever saw him again, but nothing seems good enough. From Sarah in London. Well, I asked my dad what he thought, if he had any good words of advice, you know. My dad's like 87 or something like that, so you would have thought by that time, apart from being rude himself quite a lot, he might have learned some words of wisdom. I didn't know if he was going to come back at me with like a humorous anecdote or what.
Yeah.
This is what he comes back with. He said, I don't think that man could have been a banker. Bankers don't wear bowler hats and suits nowadays. They tend to disguise themselves in beanies and jeans so as not to be suspected of belonging to one of the great cheating professions. He may have been a hedge fund manager. On no account should Sarah reproach herself with having failed to respond adequately to loutish behaviour. Most decent people are not naturally inclined to respond aggressively to bad behaviour by others. More importantly, she must try very hard indeed, brackets, and it is very hard, never to indulge in regret. What is past is past. Regret is not merely useless, but one of the most erosive emotions in life. And then he quotes the Persian polymath Omar Khayyam, translated by Edward Fitzgerald. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on. Nor all thy piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all thy tears wash out a word of it. Thanks very much, Dad. That's true.
Your dad's like Morgan Freeman.
On the other hand, Sarah, you could have just shouted, Just in your face at the guy or something like that. No, don't play.
No, come on. She needs it.
It's too much in your face. Just, make them look like a Wally and then shout in your face at them. That would be absolutely adequate, I would say.
Or just smear the cake in his face. That's what I would have done. Taking it out the bag and go, move.
Yeah, just
straight in your face.
Surreptitiously remove the top of the box and let him put his foot in it. And wipe it off his Gucci loafers or whatever bankers wear these days.
We're going to play Tiny Tim.
Oh, yes. So this is a free play of mine, listeners. And Tiny Tim, he was a massive star in the 60s. People like Bob Dylan adored him. And he was, it's hard to think of a comparable figure these days. But I mean, he was genuinely musically talented as well as being a bit sort of freakish.
Yeah, because people weren't sure whether it was put on or whether it was genuine him sort of thing.
He had this very high falsetto and he looked, I've described him before as looking like the penguin on his gap year with his little ukulele. And was it a ukulele or a banjo that he
I think
played?
it was ukulele. I think it was ukulele,
yeah. And anyway, I love this song, and it was used in the very first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. And during Bug, the TV version of this show, Bug, that I do, we had a video made for it by these very talented animators, Paul and Matt Lazell, which you can still find online. The track is a cover of a song by Al Sherman and Al Lewis from the 1930s. But this is Tiny Tim with Living in the Sunlight, Loving in the Moonlight. I defy you not to gain some joy from this from 1968.
I'm so lucky me.
Stone Roses made of Stone on 6 music. Just reminded me of the film Spike Island, which I think is coming out in March time. So you should go and see it. It's very, very good indeed.
And that's a British film, is it? About
these
young
kids around the time of the Spike Island gig and about the Stone Roses being their heroes. And yeah, it's really good. Directed by Matt Whitecross. Daniel Lloyd has tweeted in and said, hearing Tiny Tim has got to be one of my happiest radio moments of all time.
Oh, there
Thanks,
you go.
Adam.
I wonder if that was new to him. I mean, the first time I heard it, because I knew Tiptoe Through the Tulips and stuff like that, and always, sort of knew the freakish side of Tiny Tim. And I guess that is one of the more ludicrous songs, Living in the Sunlight. But wow, the first time I heard that, it just blew my mind. I just thought, this is very, very good. Because he also did more kind of, he was genuinely talented.
Yeah.
And did more sort of bluesier stuff as well as that. And he had a very long career.
Nicola, however, says, he scares me. Due to inexplicably reminding me of Rent-A-Ghost, Mr. Claypole.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, he doesn't look a lot like him, but I see where you're coming from.
Right, I want to speak to you about this because I was listening to Sean Keaveney the other morning, who on a Friday always has Professor Brian Cox as his guest on the phone.
Right.
And this is what happened.
Potentially one of the reasons why a lot of water came back to the Earth after its formation to form the oceans was that I think it was, now which one was it? I think it was Uranus that was thought to have been thrown out into the outer solar system by a gravitational interaction.
Uranus.
I think it was Uranus.
That's not how you see it.
Well, some people do. I mean, that's a bone of contention, isn't it? You're going for Uranus.
Obviously.
I think it was Uranus.
It's not Uranus.
Yeah.
See, I got in touch with a friend of mine, Ms. Smith, who's an actual geography and science teacher, to ask her about this. And, she's got to stand in front of pupils and talk about this kind of thing. And apparently, it's a standard teaching method used to avoid teenagers losing concentration in the class. You will change names of things that are part of the syllabus to stop them laughing.
Right.
Surely that's illegal. You shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Sort of historical revisionism almost, isn't it? Just for the sake of keeping things above board. But it's difficult, though, isn't it? Because it's very chucklesome when someone does, talk about Uranus. Like
well, there's other examples in French.
I suppose you could say, well, it's only chucklesome if you're a silly and mature man. But I defy you to start bandying that planet name around properly pronounced to a bunch of 10-year-olds or 15-year-olds and not get quite a chucklesome reaction.
In French, you have le chat for cat, le piscine, which also gets a bit of a chuckle.
Yeah.
In German, the word six is sex.
You wouldn't say you wouldn't use the T on chat, though, would you? You'd say le chat.
Well, I'm not French.
The pronunciation of this is you don't say chat. I don't think chat is maybe a ruder way of saying it. I'm not sure.
German, My German teacher, instead of saying the word six, which says sex, would Z it up.
Yeah, that's
and
funny.
Zex it up.
That's very funny.
Geography. Apparently, one of the tectonic plates is called the Juan de Fuca, which is spelled Fuca. Now, if you're a kid reading that in a
you're going to have some
book,
pronunciation fun with it.
and it is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire as well, which adds the double whammy.
Sure.
Also in science in particular, talking about the science of digestion and using lots of words for people's waste. It's like you have to talk about it in class.
Yeah.
How do you stop them laughing when you say, words like feces or stool?
Yeah, but I mean, there's no
Digestion.
way of getting around that, is there? I mean, you just have to. It's a question of how you deliver it. Whereas I think, however serious you are, if you come out with your anus, that is going to cause chuckling with some of the immature members of the class. Not with Dr. Buckles, obviously, because I'm above that kind of thing. But my son is doing a project about the solar system at the moment.
How does he see it?
Well, he's absolutely fine with it, and I kept on saying it like the proper way and looking at him and
See, it's the
grinning.
proper way.
Yeah, I would say that it is. I remember they used to be on the news as well. They always struggle with it, and I think Jan Leeming used to have some very extreme ways of mispronouncing it to get beyond the chucklesome nature of it. She would say things like Uranus, and I don't know if she actually used that one, but there was certainly some fairly mangled pronunciation going on in order to avoid anyone thinking about bottoms.
I think we must have some teachers listening as well. So if you've any other examples,
So you're
then-
spearheading a campaign for proper pronunciation
Yeah.
of Uranus.
Yeah, don't adopt this standard teacher method of changing things.
Yeah.
And Professor Brian Cox, you should know better.
I think it was Uranus.
It's not Uranus, it's Uranus.
Well, maybe if someone is listening who knows Brian Cox, they can ask him to comment, and he might well have he's a clever guy. He's
a very clever man. He
come
should
out
know
with
better.
some. If he's saying it, he's got to have a good reason for it. And it can't just be smirky smugness. Smirkles. Anyway, you're listening to Adam and Edith here on BBC Six Music. I have a song that I've created, Edith, that I would like to play you in the next 15 minutes. But right now, we are going to play some more music, listeners. And who have we got for them?
Alt J.
The mighty old J. This is Matilda. Boys do cry,
Yeah, not as much as girls. We
That's true.
talked about that last week.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing, listeners? Adam and Edith here with you for another 37 minutes on BBC Six Music. And we were talking about domestic attrition, I suppose we were calling it, last week, and indeed the week before. I mean, it sort of features fairly heavily in my life. I suppose I'm more or less obsessed by little domestic confrontations and
Anything you want to highlight from this week?
niggles. Before I do, I had a tweet from Virgil. He's got a nice Craftwork Tour de France pic on his profile there on Twitter. Appreciate that, Virgil. He says, "Hey, Adam, still doing domestic wars of attrition?" Yes. Battlegrounds chez nous are 1. Central heating thermostat. 2. Toaster setting. Tick and tick for both of those, Virgil. Do you ever have any wars about those things?
Oh, yeah,
Edith?
there's a whole discussion last night about the different settings on the... You know how you can set your central heating to on or all day stroke timed or off type thing. I was like, it's freezing. Can we stick the central heating on a kind of timed, on all day sort of thing so that it's not... And he was like, yeah, it's on all day at the minute. I was like, oh, perfect. And he was like, no, all day means that it goes off at night. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was just this kind of crazy sort of discussion about what all the different settings actually meant. It's like,
And what sort of-
just put it on all day.
Do you know what temperature you're at?
No idea. I don't get involved in the thermostat. I leave that well alone. In fact, it's been put too high for me that I can't even touch it.
Because my wife tends to jam it right up to 25, 30 sometimes, and it's just boiling. I like it down. I like it frosty. 15 is fine.
What?
Thank you very much.
But you walk about with a coat on, no wonder.
That's true. And I am a sort of lardy, hairy man, so I do have more protection. And she's very tall and thin.
Buy a
but
onesie.
still, there is a lot of... I do go up there and just surreptitiously...
Do you tell her or do you just do it secretly?
No, do it secretly. And then the toaster as well. That for a long time, that used to get me very upset. When you'd pop your toast in and she jammed it right up to an extra toasty setting. So you just get burned every single time. Burned. And I never learned as well. It never used to sink in. It took about 10 years for me to remember to check what it was on? Anyway, the other thing that gets me wound up, and it shouldn't really, because, again, I don't do too much driving in the house. It's generally my wife that does most of the, she's Brian Ferry. She does most of the ferrying. I'm not really Brian Ferry. And
not allowed to drive.
Are you not allowed to drive?
No.
No? Why not? Because you're...
Because I'm
incompetent.
Yeah.
Well... do you genuinely not do too much driving?
Well, I do. He's not here that often, so when I'm not here, I do have to do the driving. Otherwise, we'd never get to nursery in time. But if there's both of us and the car's there, always not the driver.
Right.
Always the passenger.
And what's the state of your car? You've just got the one child at the moment,
One child
right?
at the moment, yeah. It's kind of like the flakes of a sausage roll in the back of the car at the minute. There's a lot of...
So it's low-level filth.
Yeah, it's not quite got stench yet.
Our car is the most disgusting place on the planet.
Apparently.
Not just in the UK.
The planet.
Yeah, in the entire planet.
Apparently, I use our car as a cupboard.
Right. Well, that's another thing.
So I just leave stuff in the boot.
It seems to be like, because our house is not filthy, and there's a certain level of cleanliness that is maintained and that you want to live with and establish as the norm in the house, right? Everyone's cool with that. But for some reason, there's a totally different set of rules for the car.
But you have 3 kids.
Yeah, but, you know what I mean? I've seen other people's cars and they've got children, and I don't know if they are just much more fascistic or what, but it's not like our car. Our car is unbelievable, and in the absence, and I'm not really allowed to talk about it because it's like, well, maybe if you drove them around a little bit more, maybe if you did all the runs I had to do, you'd understand. It's not always easy to police the car. All right, okay. But in the absence of any statutory underpinning, to quote Leveson, to ensure the cleanliness of the family car, I have sung some very devastating satirical lyrics over the top of a classic tune. Can you guess which tune I have used? Just fire it off and you'll see.
Here in the car where the children have been, it's like a big wheelie bin full of mouldering crap in the car. Why would you care about keeping it clean? It's just a driving machine, so just drop all your rubbish in the car. Biscuit crumbs and Smarties, black banana skin, crisp packets containing deadly toxic waste, rotting apple cores and ancient orange peel await discovery in every recess. Here in the car, there's some very old sweets that have started to melt, becoming part of the carpet in the car.
Nom nom nom. Oh, tasty.
And down in the well by the passenger seat, there's a wonderful treat. It's an old plastic bottle of wee from an emergency. Bits of plastic toys from off the front of comics, coffee cups containing putrid baby wipes, mangled mushy monsters, doggy hairs and mud, seat covers crusted with mysterious stains. I took it in to be professionally cleaned, but the geezer there screamed when he saw what was inside the car.
Ah! This is so horrible! I have never seen anything so disgusting in all my years of cleaning cars. This will cost you £100 to clean, you filthy pig man. You know they have bins in the outside world, right? Ever seen one of those? Hey guys, come and look at the car of an actual pig man. I think when you see inside, you will puke on your own shoes.
Because I'm the only guy that goes and actually gets the car cleaned every now and again. I mean, I try and do it myself. I get the Hoover thing. The thing is that there's a very frustrating, like Dyson yet hasn't, as far as I'm aware, created the ultimate
diameter of the tube.
The car
doesn't
Hoover.
Quite get in there.
Because someone gave us a little car Hoover. I think it might even have been my wife actually who got it to assuage me one Christmas, and it's just got no power. You know what I mean? Like it's like a very old man breathing on you.
Do you need like one of those industrial ones? It's a bit like a sort of rocket booster on your back that you can wear as a rucksack, and you can really get in there.
Yeah, that's not practical though, is it, Edith?
No.
I just need some new kind of power cell to be invented, because I appreciate that it's probably against the laws of physics to have something that small with real sucking power. There's a joke attached to this, surely, unless it's Justin Bieber. That's the best I could come up with.
You mentioned the front of comics toys in your lyrics there as well.
Yeah.
Oh, bane of my life.
Because they love it. They see them in the supermarket and they, please can I have that? Come on, please can I have that with a little gun and the cardboard targets? Please, man, please, oh, please, I want it so much. I've never wanted anything so much in my life. Floor of the cart, and there it stays for the rest of the year till someone takes it out. But you don't want to take it out, because to do so you will have to engage with putrid bits of pitta and breadsticks and
cheese and Marmite sandwiches.
Yeah, there's a combination of sort of healthy snacks and just mouldering junk food.
Snotty hankies.
It's so awful. Like, it depresses me so much. And then you sort of forget about it for a while, and then you have to pick someone up. You know what I mean? Like, you go and pick someone up from the station, a friend or whatever. And you think, oh, yeah, I'm a pig man. I forgot. And now I'm going to have to sort of, so you say, sorry about the car. No, that's okay. And you could see their noses wrinkling, and they're just, where exactly should I could sit on my newspaper if that's...
One of the children self-combusted yesterday.
It's just
hey, what are you doing on a Saturday afternoon? Cleaning the car.
Hey, Adam and Edith here. It's gone 12:30 and it's time for the news. Ooh. That's the XX with Chained. This is Adam and Edith here on BBC Six Music. I think it's time that we concluded our memory bank section. Fire off the jingle.
Time for some stories you deposited in the memory bank. The memory bank, the memory bank. We're the nice bank. Would you like to bank with us? All of them are truthful. Every now and then they're a little bit frank. The memory bank, the memory bank. Ooh, I'm sorry about your very overdrawn. Email us your stories, or text or tweet, or send them round with Hank. Send them with Hank. Send them with Hank to the memory bank.
Still nobody sending their stories round with Hank, but that's fine. It's not a problem.
I'm not halfway through yet, so we're fine.
I've got one last story here, Edith. How many have you got?
I've got one as well, yeah.
All right, okay. Here's my final story for Memory Bank this week, and this is quite an extreme one, I would say, as far as rudeness goes. Rudeness is obviously the topic of conversation today for Memory Bank, and this one is from Natalie, who actually sent in another story that I read out earlier on, so she's going for the double. I was on the till at FOP in Cambridge one day. FOP, the record and DVD shop.
And
book shop, obviously, the multimedia palace. She says, I was there one Friday afternoon on the till when a shifty-looking bloke attempted to pay for his goods with a £20 note. Nothing wrong with that, but this one had a rather offensive word stamped in red across our dear Queen's noggin. A lovely rude stamp in here with red word. So I don't know what he's like, an art school guy. He's made a special stamp with like a rude word on it and decided to stamp his £20 note. Anyway, Natalie says, I told the customer I wasn't allowed to accept this tender due to the law making it a crime to deface our sovereign, which is true. But unsaid, it was mainly because this guy was clearly a massive Burke. The guy said, you're out of order. I'll spend this, he told me, and exited the shop. 5 minutes later, I heard, oi, being called at me from the front door, 8 foot away. It was the Burke. I told you I'd spend that note, he smirked, and then he threw a balled up receipt right into the centre of my forehead from 8 foot away. It was a great shot, credit where credit's due. The receipt was from Superdrug next door, where he'd used the £20 note to purchase male protection and other bedroom accessories. I think she means pillows. And like the £20 note, the receipt was also stamped with my favourite big red rude word stamp. I was honestly astounded, says Natalie. I mean, that's quite extreme. It's difficult to know where to start with that kind of rudeness. The guy is seeing it through, at least. That's the only good thing you can say about it.
He's got preconceived ideas of rudeness, and the fact that he has a stamp that he walks around to stamping things and people with.
He's 100% committed to perpetrating rudeness.
He is rude man.
To the fullest of his abilities. So, it's hard to know how to feel about that.
Wonder where rude man is now. Has anyone else been, a victim of rude man's stamps?
Yeah, with his stamp, presumably.
Yeah, must be.
He would have just gone on a spree and thought, this is brilliant.
Has he stamped a person before with the rude word?
He's going to get in trouble at some point, though, isn't he? Because she's right. I think it is illegal to deface currency like that.
Yeah.
You can go to prison for 100 years.
I've got my last story from Flo. And it comes with a song actually as well at the end. So this is very nice. Here's my rude story. Had been working in the children's department at the BBC for about 2 years. Then they announced their first ever major round of redundancies. Whoa, I wasn't affected, but some quite major old school people were leaving. It was decided that a party in a child-friendly environment is what we needed. London Zoo was picked as the venue, and it promised to be a lavish night. We'd all been told that there would be food at the party, so we decided there was no need to eat before going. A major error on my part. There was some finger food out, but not much. There was a lot of wine on the table, so we started on that instead. By the time people started arriving, I'd had about 1.5 bottles of wine to myself.
Danger, Pudsey, come on.
I was now wanting the party to get started, but my mate said there would be a raft of speeches to get through before any dancing. I was miffed.
Yeah.
Miffed. The speeches started and went on and on. My head of department, a formidable lady with a reputation for being quite hard-faced, took to the stage. Imagine the Maggie Thatcher of kids' TV. She started thanking anyone and everyone, and in my mind going on and on. It was at that point I snapped. I was done. I was done waiting for the party to start. I got up on the stage and slid along the wall in a stealth-like fashion. Or so I thought. Convinced she hadn't spotted me, I remember looking down from the stage and seeing my friends shaking their heads and mouthing at me, "Don't do it, don't do it." My head of department suddenly saw me but kept going with her speech, letting it trail off as she turned round to see what the hell was going on. With that, I sidled up next to her, grinning like an idiot and waiting for a point in which to interrupt. The moment came. I grabbed the microphone off her. I remember some toing and froing as she held on to it. She relented and gave up the microphone, at which point I exclaimed, "Cheers, Anna," turning to the DJ, "Let's get this party started."
Oh my God, she's a nightmare. Who is that person?
Flo,
you need to be locked up. Bottle and a half of wine, then she gets on. Thanks, I love that, yeah. Oh, let's get the party started. Flo is a nightmare. Even with the Maggie Thatcher of kids' TV up there. I totally appreciate that it was probably a very boring speech raft. But still,
I'm just gonna creep up on this stage. No one will see. And then I'll just have that microphone. Thank you very much. And I think we'll get the party started. Do you think? Yes, thank you very much. Here we go. Don't forget it was so. It's fine. It's fine. Why are you shaking your head? Why are you shaking your head?
And this is that tune. Every time she hears it now, she has the fear.
My favourite Return of the Man. Oh, yeah. And the Return of the Man. Why are you shaking your head? What?
It's Black Keys and Sister from the album El Camino. Six Music. Thanks to everybody for all your stories from Memory Bank as well. So many great ones coming in. Very funny ones.
On that song, the Black Keys song, he sounds like he's got the guitar from Girl Like You by Edwin Collins. You know that one?
Yeah.
Wow, that was good, wasn't it? Nice bit of tuneful singing there. Hey, I would like to thank all the people that sent me nice messages about my hard drive as well. People giving me advice for how I could perhaps revive it. I did try a lot of those, stuck it in the fridge. That was a couple of people suggested that. Put it in a sealed Tupperware box overnight.
They're just winding you up.
Freezer. You reckon?
I reckon.
I don't know.
Cover it in chocolate and a couple of marshmallows and stick it in the oven for 20 minutes.
Smash it with a hammer, pop it down your trousers. Did all that. None of it worked, unfortunately. But thank you very much. Really appreciated your suggestions. And so who are we going to send the Bears home with this week?
Well, we've got someone... So they've spent the week in Italy with flight dispatcher Sandy. They're off to Ipswich.
Whoa, big style.
Where they will act as muses to a professional cartoonist, Ryan Bayliss.
There you go. That's good.
He's going to draw them into a comic strip. It's amazing. They're having such a great time.
I was pouring scorn on Ipswich. Sorry about that. But Ryan Bayliss, wow, he's a talented man. I'm looking at some of his designs now, and they're very good. So their bear's going to be incorporated into that. That's excellent.
Check out their journey so far, actually. It's up on the website, bbc.co.uk/6music, and click on our faces.
And on the website, you can also, of course, check out the picture of the hair that's in the
Have you got a name for it?
We don't have a name for it yet. Someone suggested Hair of the Bog. It's Will Tippett. But the thing is that it's not bitten me. So that sort of seems to imply that the hair of the bog might bite me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you don't want to do that. It's been there for 3 weeks.
No, I don't think it's going to happen. It's on the 4th floor if you want to find it. If you come to...
But don't touch it.
Yeah, don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
If it goes, I'm going to be upset. Hello.
It's never done it to you.
Nice to see you. Every week, it's nice to see it there. You know, it's just a little friendly hair. So I'm not saying that it should, for some reason, be cleaned away.
No, because we hope we might be joined by some friends next week. So,
exactly.
Might be a little hair bear bunch up there next week.
Nice. And who knows who it could belong to? I mean, the mind boggles. There's so many talented...
I think Lauren.
I wasn't going to actually say any names of people that it could belong to. I don't think it is, but...
It's blonde?
It's not blonde. It's dark.
It's blonde. It looks blonde.
Listen, this is a dangerous conversation to be having, all right? But, folks, thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate all your messages and everything.
I've got a last Bowie trivia for you.
Oh, yeah, go on, hit me.
Okay, on Bowie trivia.
Yes.
What connection did Bowie's mother have with the cinema? It's from Rod in Grimsby.
Mother with the cinema. That's difficult. I'd be guessing. I wouldn't know.
Guess then.
She went there to see a film.
She was an usherette.
She was an usherette. I should have known that. Damn my eyes! I should have known that. I know his dad worked for Bernardo's, but that
wasn't the question.
I know, but do I get any points?
No.
Just
if you fancy going to the cinema this weekend, speaking of which, there's a great film out called Sightseers that your friend Alice Lowe's in.
Yes, and Steve Oram.
So go and check it out. It's a very good watch.
Yes,
I would recommend
I've
that
heard
too.
lots of good things. Ben Wheatley, of course, is the director of that. Super talented guy. Yeah, good for them. I'm really glad to see them having such success with it. I'm excited to see it myself. Well, thanks so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with you at the same time next Saturday, 10 till 1. The podcast of this show will be available to download later this evening, I think, thanks to our super hardworking production team. Thank you to them. And
we'll try and get another memory bank subject up for the podcast.
Yeah,
this week.
We might try and say what it is in the podcast, and who knows what other secret little nuggets might be nestled in there in that podcast for your listening pleasure. So do download it.
Liz is up next. She's going to be joined by Paul from Orbital.
Nice.
So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. I love you. Bye.